I've also just realized the recording I've been doing has not been picking up any of that sound. So, welcome to anyone that is watching this recording in the future. um, Professionalism. There's only 27 and a half minutes of silence. Anyways, you walk over to the cook, and people look up and they give you weird looks, like they're not sure who you are, but also they're not in a position to be questioning you. You walk up to the cook. What do you say?
Where can a man get a mighty fine sandwich?
Should I ask for mutton?
Well, I don't know about a sandwich, but we got a pretty good stew if you'd like a bite.
What kind of ingredients do you have in that stew? I do have allergies.
Mr. Tiefling,
Yes?
your options are the stew or nothing at all. Unless you want to go knock on that door and beg the captain for food. In which case,
Stew
you
sounds
might
good.
find yourself using those wings a little earlier than you planned.
I think that stew sounds wonderful, and I am very grateful for it.
Excellent. He ladles you out a bowl of stew and hands it to you. Um, as you sit down and begin to eat it, it's actually pretty good. It surprises you. You'd think a stew was just whatever they had left over, but this cook actually seems to know what they're doing. And you do get quite a few glances and a lot of whispered conversation around you. Is there anything else you'd like to do while you're eating?
Not whilst I'm eating, but as soon as I'm done, I walk back over to the cook and give him 2 gold and say, "That was amazing. Thank you very much."
Mark it off on your sheet.
Cheap ass.
Well, thank you, Tiefling. I do what I can. Going back to our Triton friend, you are sitting in a very opulent, very wealthy room. Gold inlays on the surrounding wood. There's a pile of gold on a desk, just haphazardly thrown there. There's a table off to the side with navigation charts and various navigators' tools. And you are sitting down to some type of roast. You're not really sure what the creature is. It's not from the ocean.
Brain roast.
It's not from the ocean. It is a creature you don't recognize. But it tastes very good. And the captain just finished regaling you with a tale about this strange iron cast barrel in the corner. Mr. Triton, as you can see, this was just given to me as a reward for 200 years of good service from the Dwarvish counselor, actually. I'm not. I believe it's a piece of art. I'm not really sure what it's supposed to signify. And as she motions over, as you politely make all the correct go on as the conversation goes, you look over in this barrel. It has what looks to be a pair of pipes welded to the front of it and a chimney on the back. It's a very strange thing, but otherwise it looks just like a 500-pound iron iron barrel.
Curious. It looks as though it's supposed to do something.
Well, if it is, I've never managed to figure out what. It makes a good trophy and a good topic of conversation, but I've never gleaned anything from all my hours of studying it. You're welcome to take a closer look if you'd like.
Out of curiosity, I would like to take a closer look.
All right, give me a perception check. You spend 10, 15 minutes going over the barrel with a very keen eye, but you don't see anything functional about it. It just looks like an odd dwarven statue.
Tickle it.
Odd. What is with you and tickling?
Yes, I thought it was odd as well, but one does not turn down a gift from the dwarven counselor. Please, I hope you can stay and finish your meal. It's getting cold.
Well, in that case, I sit back down and keep eating.
All right. Is the food to your liking? We don't really eat from the ocean very much here. It's one of the few luxuries of being a captain. We get to eat from the forests of my homeland.
The taste is quite fine. What manner of creature is this?
It's a type of... Oh, how do you explain boar to someone who lives in the ocean? It's about a size of a halfling with 4 legs and a long nose and these long, sharp teeth that come out of the front of it. Hunting it is actually good sport. If you're not careful, it's likely to actually get you instead. They run fairly wild through our forests. We've taken care not to overhunt them, and they've flourished rather well. If there's nothing else specific you want to say, you can just say you make chatter.
Since I'm not familiar with the surface, I ask her about
Well,
the three.
don't do it in third person. Ask me.
I forgot, what are the council or whatever?
The ruling council.
Okay. As I'm not familiar with the surface, could you tell me more about the ruling council?
Flaws.
The
It's hard,
council's been
man.
along. The council's been around since the beginning of the empire. They were the founders. It's made up of an ancient elf who's said to have known the world before the cataclysm, though she never speaks of it. A human of great natural magics, who is equally as ancient, and dwarf. I'm afraid I don't know this counselor very well. The one that gave me that barrel passed away about 50 years ago. And this one has worn a strange suit of armor at all times. He talks very rarely, if at all. But the wisdom of these 3 individuals and whoever will inherit their positions when they pass to the celestial planes, they rule over all that is left. Everything
Oh.
here in the eye of the storm is under their rule.
How is it that the human is just as ancient? I thought they were not so long lived.
They are not. It is something to do with his magics. I'm afraid I've never understood it, but he is genuinely a very ancient man. It's very impressive to see any creature so wizened. But
I don't.
he is not allowed age to turn him cruel. He is still wise and kind.
Okay, I don't think I have anything else specific to say.
All right. You pass through the rest of dinner making small talk, and as the meal ends, and yawns start to come about, and you finish a bottle of wine that the captain had pulled out just for the occasion. Um, you and the navigator leave. The navigator shows you back to your quarters, and you find it strange. The navigator, the first officer, actually sleeps with the rest of the men. From how the captain made it sound, you thought perhaps those two were together, but apparently not. The elvish woman stayed in her cabin. Um, Extinguished the lights after you left, and that was the last you saw of her for the evening. Is there anything anyone else would like to do on your first night?
I would like to make roach sounds in the captain's quarters with prestidigitation.
Do believe that requires line of sight.
Roach sounds?
Little
Do. Spells. You have a range of 10 feet. Are you going to walk up to the door and try and cast the spell through it?
I'm not gonna walk up to the door. I'm gonna be on the side of the door so they can't see me. Nah, scratch the whole idea.
Okay.
I'll go to bed.
The first night passes without.
Oh, wait.
All right.
I would like to go sneak around and look for additional pilferings that I might be able to yoink from the general area.
You wait for. All right. Our rogue waits for everyone to go to sleep except for the night shift. Give me a stealth check. And give me a perception check. You spend a good half an hour looking through the kitchen, the mess hall, and even the crew quarters. You don't find anything really of worth, surprising considering how wealthy this ship seems to be. And you figure it's probably all locked away in the captain's quarters.
In that case, I just grab a couple handfuls of food and I make my way back to the life raft.
I'll give you 2 loaves of bread.
Yay!
I'm going to learn your characters' names eventually. Mr. Beeblebrox,
Yeah,
what would you like to do?
I would like to flavor my towel
Okay.
and suck on it.
All
Just
right.
like chicken.
You fall asleep sucking on a chicken-flavored Cthulhu towel. The next day comes. Everyone rises and falls into the pattern of routine. The sailors easily relieve the night shift. The navigator checks the course and stands on deck. The captain is up not long after her crew takes her position back at the wheel, and things proceed. At this point, you guys all notice that there's not a lot of yelling of orders. This crew seems to have worked together long enough that it's more like a well-oiled machine. Everyone knows what they need to do before they're told to do it, and no one is slacking off or not doing what they need to do. Day 2. It's blue skies, white clouds, and a far, far away deep ocean. Do any of you want to do anything during the day?
Yes.
All right.
I'm gonna use prestidigitation to make a small musical trinket,
Okay.
and I'm going to play a rendition of "Smoke Seaweed Every Day" by Snoop Sea Dog.
All right. Um, give me a performance check.
There it is.
It's not as great as Mr. Sea Dog is capable of producing, but then again, you're not a bard. Considering this is an instrument that you created through magic and you're not entirely used to playing it, you do a pretty decent job.
And then I try to hit on the captain.
Before you do that, something draws you to the edge of the ship. It almost feels like your towel is being gently pulled by something. What do you do?
Um,
That's
Who
your
goes
towel,
there?
man.
Who
You gotta
goes
listen
there?
to your towel.
I'm gonna yell at my towel and say, "Who goes there?"
You get a couple strange looks, but there's no one near you.
I spit into the water.
Do you go to the edge of the ship then?
Yeah, I go to the edge of the ship and I
As
spit in the water.
you go to the edge and look down, you see a monstrous dark shape moving in the water below you. It's very big, and it has tentacles. But before you can even think to perhaps cry out and warn anyone, if that is what you'd like to do, it disappears back deep into the ocean. You're pretty sure that was a kraken.
Not Cthulhu?
You're not sure if it was the kraken, but you're fairly sure it was a kraken.
Wait, Cthulhu's a kraken in this universe?
Cthulhu's avatar on the material plane is a kraken, yes.
Oh, okay. I run quickly back to the captain, say, "Oh, Captain, my captain, I saw a dark shape. My towel pulled me towards it."
In the water?
Huh? Yeah, in the water.
Well, don't worry, Sir Elf. There's nothing in these waters that can reach us up here.
Flying off, or you want to taste my towel?
No, thank you, Sir Elf.
This is not going to be the last time. And I'll walk away.
And she does sigh. 2-hour tiefling, the elven woman asleep in the or unconscious. You can't really tell. In the lifeboat has still not stirred. She hasn't moved.
I attempt to ensure that she is nourished. So out of her rations, I force feed her a little bit.
All right. You are able to get food down her throat and a little bit of water from her water skin. She's not going to die of lack of sustenance.
Okay.
And finally, we come back to our Triton. Is there anything you would like to do?
I would like to curiously explore the ship, perhaps even check out the lifeboats.
You walk around a ship, it's not really that large. As you look over the edge in the front, you notice these long metal blades, these curved blades that curve towards the back of the ship, jutting out from the bottom. When it was landed, they were below the waterline, so you didn't actually get to notice them before. They are incredibly well crafted, and you're not entirely sure what they're for. Other than that, you notice there's four small, long magical cannons on the surface of the ship with small, well, with fairly large piles of small cannonballs arranged next to them. As you take a look at the crystal, it's magical. You're fairly sure that's what's making the boat fly, but if you attempt to touch the crystal or mess with it in any way, a crew member comes over and asks you to stop. As you approach, which lifeboat would you like to take a look at? The one on the port or starboard?
Uh, I would like to check out the one on the right side.
Starboard. As you
Okay, starboard.
approach the edge of the ship, a crew member stops you and says, "Please, sir, you're a passenger here. We don't want you accidentally falling off. So try and stay away from the railings on the sides, please."
Uh, okay.
"Thank you very much, sir." And then he goes back to what he was doing. Um, Exploring the lower deck, assuming you stay out of the captain's quarters, which you've already been in. Um, Nothing special. It's your pack and the pack of the strange high elf with a towel that, when you stirred in the middle of the night and looked over, he was suckling on like a small baby. They confused you a great deal. Um,
Strange surface people.
yes. What really surprises you, having never really spent much time on the surface, is flying. The sensation of not only being above the ground, but being so far above the ground that you can't even touch the ground. It's a very surreal experience for you.
Well, I don't think I have anything else I want to do.
There's not much to do. Again, it is not a passenger liner. As the day wears on, one of the crew members from the front of the ship rushes back and whispers in the captain's ear. Oh, before we get to that, you also notice next to the wheel with the captain is a very interesting looking chest. It was what you saw was brought aboard before you guys took off. There's no visible keyhole or latches, but it has some very strange symbols on it. You guys should be able to see that next to the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyways, as the day tends towards evening, one of the crew rushes back and whispers in the captain's ear. She hands the wheel over to the navigator and comes to the front and seems to peer into the distance. Has another hushed conversation with that same crew member and then goes back. You're not really sure what's going on.
Can I use my insight to see if she's like tense at all?
Give me an insight check.
Oh, jeez. Ooh.
She seems definitely bothered by something. She's not exactly panicking, but there's a tense air about her. Is there anything you'd like to do with that information? Excuse me. I'm getting a phone call.
I wonder where fourth duder is.
Sleeping, we were assuming, I think.
Ah. Well, shoot. If you can be awake, anybody can be awake at noon.
I know, right?
Sorry about that. That was the player responsible for our unconscious elven woman wanting to see how the game was going. We have now been playing for an hour. Would you guys like to take a 10-minute break?
I'm
Yeah, I
good.
need to get some grub. I gotta go find my towel.
Oh, geez.
All right, we will be back here at 1:15.
Okay.